Hey, um, I am only 27, and I feel like I've already lived multiple lifetimes. I just feel older and have, like, I don't know, just older. And when it comes to my dad, emotionally intelligent is not something you would say to describe him. My youngest cat, street racers. My youngest cat, Arthur, passed away really suddenly from feline leukemia. And yeah, I took him in for a check-in because we thought he had diabetes, and so we did insulin. And so on like a month appointment to see a different vet that we saw the first time just said, he's in pain. It's feline leukemia. It's not diabetes. That was like time. And like 2 days or 3 days later, like all of my student loan stuff, and for them to like verify my citizenship and stuff, came in that weekend. And I only was gonna start like college again in the fall term in September. But I made the choice to like start then because there's nothing else I'm gonna do that's I was ready to go with him, my boy. I looked forward to growing up with him and seeing him as an old man, an old little cat. I have 3 others. One is his mom and aunt, they're sisters, and another Fisher. He's a Maine Coon. So I have 3. And I feel really bad because I'm not I love them all equally. Arthur, he just, something with me and him clicked just a little bit differently. And so the energy isn't the same. My apartment is really dirty, probably unsanitary. I can barely take care of my cats right now, like emotionally, and just it's hard for me to be like in a good mood to like play with them I say I love them all the time and I hang out with them. I don't want them to think like Arthur was like my favorite, He was just like a little different. He was just like lucky because he was unexpected. I didn't mean to keep him. So I did the summer term. I did a full schedule. And it was really hard for me to just do it. Like showing up to class. And I loved my teachers. I liked what I learned. I liked showing up and participating. But it was just like, excuse me, I just had to do it. And for like week 6, which for summer term, the courses are condensed because it's a shorter time frame than if you did like a fall, spring, or winter term. So it's a lot more condensed. And on week 6, I just didn't get out of bed. I think I showed up to 1 out of like 5 classes or something. Like it wasn't, I just couldn't get out of bed. And that Friday, like after that, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna fuck up like my scholarship and the student loans and shit if I just don't pass these classes. My digital photography class, the final, I stayed awake for like 2 full days to prepare. Like I wasn't even like doing my final. I just was awake for 2 days. Like I knew what I had to do. I had some ideas in mind. And it turned out good, I passed all my classes and stuff. But classes ended like a week or 2 ago or something like that. And my student loan stuff is not going to be here until September 30th, And I just don't have any money for September rent. And it's my fault. I should have budgeted myself and gotten a job mostly. I've been a caregiver in different ways for many years. I can't take care of someone right now. I can't really take care of myself or my cats as best as we both deserve, so I can't just get that kind of job. I don't want to leave my apartment. I'm lucky that my classes were all Zoom classes. But I had some really good memories with Arthur here, and that's just where I want to be. And, I've asked for how they say, reach out for help. Okay, I did. It wasn't really, I just shared and it was like fine. Like, congratulations, we're proud of you. Okay. And my dad has been more than generous with helping me financially. And I don't know, a couple months ago or something, it was, I had a real job. Or like, I was a residential manager, which is like I'm in charge of the caregivers in a care home for adults with disabilities. And it was a lot of work. And it was at that job, where I'd come home and I'd be so tired and I'd lay down in bed and just go to sleep or whatever. And that's when Arthur started getting sick. And I thought it was just like, oh, his litter box isn't up to his standards, or I wasn't playing with him enough, so he's like pouting, or because he would just want to be alone, and that's not normal for him. But after I kind of stepped back from that position, I had a realistic look of Arthur day to day, and then that he was drinking lots of water, not eating, throwing up, just not just not him. And my dad was really generous and helped so that his vet bills were mostly covered, and took care of the feed, like put him down, and helped with rent. And it was against what our agreement was between each other, and I was looking forward to being like an adult. I'm obviously an adult, get a job, pay rent myself, and I think I did that for I've done that for a while. Well, I don't know, but just money wasn't supposed to be in our relationship anymore, and I was really happy and looking forward to just being done, and just hanging out with my dad and not talking about things like that. But he stepped up, and I felt it was the right thing to do, to be balanced, to show that him still supporting me after we agreed not to, that I needed to sell my car, just to show him, and just do what I thought was right. I think it is still right, So I just want to start school again. I don't want to think about anything else. I just want to be home, have my student loan stuff. But there's still like underlying things that are really affecting me. Not really Arthur, like I have issues with the contradictions placed on, the contradictions of my family, the Mormon religion, and how it just hurts to see, it's my extended family too, like all white, how into this religion they are. And people have degrees, they're high up in different successful businesses. It's, not to brag, but the people in my family are very smart and very talented educationally and things like that. But the Book of Mormon, like the basis of their religion, Book of Mormon, was written by a well-known scam artist and pedophile, Joseph Smith. And you can look and find the books that were popular during his time. It was like the 1700s or something. And he just copied them. That's it. And as a scam artist, like his family was a well-known scam people. Like, they're not respected, they're not, and it wasn't because he found like the truth or whatever. It's because he promised, I guess, gullible people that he himself can guarantee them to go to heaven, right? But I need to sleep with your daughter. I need to marry her. Not legally, because that was still illegal at the time. You can only marry one person, even back then. Pedophilia was looked down heavily, like it's I've spent many years of my life researching into this, and there's this thing called, that I found more recently, the CES letter, which is written by previous high officials in the Mormon church who went looking for answers and found that it was just fake stuff, he even had, Joseph Smith even had hieroglyphs, Egyptian hieroglyphs, in the Book of Mormon. And he's like, oh, it came to me in a vision or whatever, and like I can read it, and this is what it said. Show it to any person who knows hieroglyphs, and there's people who can really read them and everything like that. Take it to a historian, take it to an archaeologist, Google it yourself. But the actual image and stuff that he put in the Book of Mormon and what he said, it's literally just a short thing of a guy who passed away, like a noble person who passed away, and this was like information about it. It was like, this specific person is lying here, he's family of this, and he was like a priesthood, I don't know, but like it was very specific of what it translates to. And Joseph Smith was like, no, I'm just gonna write whatever it says that I'm in charge, and gotta marry all these, like, I don't know, right? And a large part of it is the Mormon, like, there's several parts where you can read that God cursed a group of people and cursed them to have black skin and to have, like, different, it said something like he mixed their tongues up so they couldn't communicate or something like that. And I was like, okay, so black people are cursed? Bitch, what the fuck are you actually talking about? And it doesn't, and they were the last church in the United States to, what is it called? Non-segregate their church. And it took even longer for male black men in the church to have the same blessing of priesthood as the white men. That's fucked up. And then also, just in the history itself, Joseph Smith killed so many Native Americans, indigenous people. He'd kill the mom and dad, and if the child was young enough, they would take that child and raise it as a white person. Now, as a refresh, I have a receipt that has of my adoption, of where money was given, and then I was bought, and 2 names on that. One of the lawyer my parents used and the lady who ran my orphanage, both charged in their crimes against humanity because they would steal indigenous children and sell them. They would either kidnap the mom who was pregnant. They would either kidnap young girls, make them pregnant, because their motto was what? If we don't have it, we make it. Okay? And if not that, then they would lie and say that they are a live-in daycare, and then provide the mom or whoever, like, and now you can go, like, to training or something, like, trying to make it an opportunity, like, oh, you don't have to worry about your kid today, now you can get, like, a full-time job, or, like, you can, but yeah, it was mostly indigenous women, indigenous children, like myself. And it's just really fucking weird. What a weird coincidence, They don't think that. Or at least it's not something that they need to digest or understand or think about or spend time understanding. It is ridiculous how white people are. Because, like, while I've had this deep, complex issue since I was a child, and now growing up, I'm able to actually speak what I'm trying to, like, why isn't it this? Like, you said you'd, like, with gay marriage, super bad, not a good thing, right? And I stood up for gay marriage in my church, and the main bishop guy locked me in his office. He locked me in his office as, like, I was probably, like, 13 or 14, and just yelled at me, like a grown adult man screaming at me, saying that, like, I'm wrong. And it says right here, like, man and man can't lay together. And they were also saying that they couldn't raise a child, like adopt, like a gay couple adopt a child, because they were like, they're not gonna be raised right. You need a man and a woman, or that kind of perspective, or like you're gonna. Have you heard of any stories from CPS? You should look up Gabriel Fernandez or a newer one, Madeline Soto. And there's a lot more of how there's so many children who need homes. I don't know, I'm off track, sorry, but and then I think almost every man in my family who's like a practicing Mormon or who was raised Mormon has served these things called a mission. Women can go on them too. My sister Gabrielle went to Chile for like a year and a half, and then the men go for 2 years. My dad went to Japan, one of my other brothers went to Japan, and the other one went to Australia. Okay? Right now I have a nephew who's serving in Utah, brand new, 18. And they are colonizers, modern day colonizers. They go into indigenous communities as 18 and 19-year-old men and women and say, hey, this book is real. Your God, that's not true. This is true. And they make it like and because it's so manipulative, and most people are just wanting community, and that's what a lot of churches offer. But with the Mormons, not only have the kids themselves, these 18 and 19-year-olds, not done the research of who they're representing. They just pray about it, and they get inspiration, and they read it. They read the whole thing. And like, yes, this is true. Whatever. Okay. And they go into the indigenous communities, and then they also implement a strong patriarchal rule or expectation. And that is so fucking disgusting and cruel and stupid. That these people cannot cognitively comprehend any of it. Go up to a Mormon. Ask them about that. They'll have lots of ifs and buts and, why do you want all the women to stay in the kitchen and just have babies? Why do you want us to what is it, tithing? They go to the poorest places and then say God expects you to do 10% of tithing of any money that you are earning, 10%, and that comes before anything. Before your medical bills, before your medications, before your rent, before your food, before you feed your child, before your diapers for your child, anything. That goes first. Okay. Can we see or have information about where the tithing is going? How is it stored? How is it used? Where is my money specifically going to? No. The LDS Church does not give anyone, any member, any level, any high bishop or whatever. No, you will not get it. You will not have access to it. Because they have billions of dollars and they keep it. They buy real estate, they buy land, and then they build it and develop. It's just, that's not what I gave my time. As a kid, that's what we were trained to do. As I got older, I was like, I'm not gonna fucking do that, but I get it. So I did for a long time. And you used to be able to I want to put my $2 for what is it, towards the educate, a long time ago. They don't have those anymore of you can specify where you want it to go, but it goes into one fund, and they're the richest. They're they're the richest in America, as the church itself. So it just is really why would I want to associate with people who these are their beliefs? I was adopted into this family. Gloria was also adopted to this family. The only other person of color in our family was married. Oh, well, let me rephrase. The men have married women from Mongolia, from Japan. My cousin, who I'm talking, he married, I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I'm not going to, but she's from Ghana, I believe. Beautiful, strong, intelligent, amazing black woman, right? Ask him why their marriage ended. Ask why she lived in Utah during that time as well. You cannot betray who you are, your identity, for anybody. You can. The church, culturally, if you're someone, that's all cool and everything. We respect, your heritage or whatever, but it's, okay, so you respect it. Do you want to talk about the different deities that we have? Do you want to talk about our calendar system and how we develop that? Or no, they don't want to hear anything of that. Maybe individually on their spare time, but certainly not in, they're just really good at splitting things up in their lives and thinking that it either doesn't go together or it's intersectionality. Look it up, get familiar with it, because I think that's the only real way to address problems like this. Because it's even with the feminism things. Feminism, let's have a women's day, okay? And it's you and me and we are women, yes. Okay. Are you able to discuss your womanhood as a white woman and listen and create a safe environment for a black woman, like, they have a heart, like, okay, we're women, and it's like, oh, I'm a black woman. It's like they don't want to, they're like, you'll be like, yeah, but you're a woman and I'm a woman, yeah, like, that's not the point. And it's just really deeply complex with identity and like family dynamics and expectations. Like, my dad, he was very against gay marriage. Okay? Very against it, because the church was. And then my sister came out and, introduced her girlfriend to him, Debbie, got married. My dad was at their wedding, full support, and that's amazing. But can you not see where the cognitive dissonance is between, I'm very against gay marriage. I listen to what the church says. I'm going to do and obey. Okay. And then someone that you love and is really close to you, who you deeply care about, now comes out as gay. Beautiful. Perfect. You accept it. Talk about how you got from this to acceptance. Is that not maybe confusing? Because you've literally gone against something that you've said for decades. And then, well, yeah, it's your daughter. Of course you're going to love her. You're not going to get her out of your life or anything like that. Why would you? But there are steps you took to get there. And I think that should be talked about. Especially with I lost my train of thought, but especially I literally forgot what I was saying. Cognitive dissonance. Oh, yeah. So my older brothers, full Mormons, mission, no drinking, blah 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 blah. Okay. Now they're older, right? Gordon was out of there quicker than, because he's not a practicing Mormon anymore, which is good. But then it's like, that's who they are. That's the morals. That's who they chose to be. That's their path in life. Cool. So why should I be surprised? Like, what? I opened their fridge randomly. Hella alcohol. Beer, wine. I don't like to drink. I mean, if anything, I'll have like a margarita or some really good tequila. But I don't have it like in my fridge or like going to the grocery store and like having it. And like, as I noticed, like, oh, on top of their fridge, they kept those bottles, like, just to throw out, but like, that's so interesting to me. How did you get there? Tell me about it. Dang. And that's what I dream about. Like, I will be having fights with my family in my dream. And it's like the same thing I just said. I mean, like, hey, have you ever thought the harm you've done to the indigenous communities that you visited when you were 19? No, that's not a thing, because they're just... I think white people are oblivious to a lot of things unless they're introduced to it by a person of color, like someone married in, or adopted, and I'm not white. I have a different experience of life than you do since a child. Racism exists, is like, it impacts children. It's not something like, oh, I noticed it when I was a teenager, or hey, someone just called me a spick today. That was the first time I've ever, no. And I think a lot of white people really want to have, like, oh, they called you a spick, or like, hey, I hate you, like, I hate Guatemala, or, like a solid piece of evidence, which is not going to happen most of the time, because it's a feeling. You ask. I'm going to keep going with Black because they have experienced so much hate and cruelty and purposeful violence, accepted by our government, accepted by the people, accepted by policies. Since the beginning of time. Look back. It doesn't matter where I don't know, but if you ask a 13-year-old Black girl, what was your experience like so far as a Black kid, Black woman, Black girl? And yeah, she'll probably share about sometimes where it is very blatant, it's open, across the street, they talk like, but most of the time it's the looks, the feelings, the energy, tone, body language, subtle things that you know and recognize that these are not safe people. They're not people who recognize you as an equal person. It's not a place for you to be 100% your authentic self. There is a language, AAVE, African American Vernacular English. A lot of white people, maybe just a lot of people in general, make assumptions on how Black people speak, how they speak to each other. Oh, that's not grammatically correct. He's not, I don't know, like, just, yeah, let's just say grammatically correct. But that sentence, if you wrote it in class, you'd get an F, sort of thing. But people need to recognize it is a real language. It is a recognized language. It's a studied language. It has their own rules. They have their own vocabulary. They have their own, like, vocal inflections. It is totally unique to Black and Black culture. Not like in Africa, Ghanaians, South African, Gambian, Egyptian. They have their own culture, it's their own country and stuff like that. But here, we have a lot of the complexity because they were brought over, stolen from their own land, and then just here. And so there's not a lot of people who are, or the information is not there for them to know their history. They might know the name of their ancestor. They might know just the name of who owned them. Maybe the ship they came on. But they have lost so much, like, and I'm just frustrated because in my family, and I mean, I just want to talk about my family in general. It's a lot of white people who have lived around a lot of white people. And if you have your religion and you have your life built upon like the Book of Mormon or as a Mormon, you inherently have a different, like, you will more inherently follow the patriarchal expectation. Like, and that's like, yeah, so unless they were introduced some way along their lifetime, why would they know about AAVE? Why don't they have any black friends? Or like any friends of, you know? Why did your husband, ex-husband, yell at me for my support of Colin Kaepernick kneeling at his first game, at that game, that first time he did it? And it's so weird because I was growing up and the white men around me, they had the biggest ego. They thought they were always right. Nothing they could do was wrong. Yeah, like I was actually yelled at like an adult. Like, I mean, I think I was maybe 18. I don't actually know. And it was something like, his thing was like, I just want to watch football. Okay. So you care about the football itself and not any of the players or what they experience in their life? Just the game. You didn't look, oh bitch, I was fucking mad. But I was young, like, I didn't have therapy. I didn't know, like, I didn't break down these obsolete ideals. It took a long time. I'm 27 now, and I'm more able to communicate, to educate, to, you know, examine my own feelings, my own expectations, you know, just to go through the whole thing. But it doesn't mean that I wasn't like having the same like complex issues when I was 12. When I was 12, I was surrounded by white people, white Mormon people, and a lot of men who were told by the church and by God that they're like the ultimate thing. Okay? So it's just gross to think about how many women were literally just forced to stay home, have many kids, and that's it. They don't have a dream. They're not recognized as a person before motherhood. Motherhood is the goal. It took I'm gonna start again, I mean, in a second, because I've been talking for a while.